Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I'm Dustin. This is the show where we go through the most active stocks on all of Yahoo Finance. We've already done a video on Tesla. I encourage you to go watch it. It's fantastic. We are now going to be looking at NVIDIA, boys and girls. This thing was only up 61 basis points or 61 basis points for the day. Let's go ahead and look at the big model. Let's get back to the basics of where we were. Got to go ahead and look at NVIDIA. Let's type that in. The reason why I do this is because I want you to see how easy it is for you to get the data out of Google Finance. I think it's incredibly important for every single individual person who is either paying attention to money and or managing money and or doing their own thing online for them to be able to have access to the data. And fortunately, data wants to be free. Shout out to Marissa Mayer. Great quote. And I'm not actually sure who said it initially, but I'm pretty sure she said it when she was leading Yahoo right before she got fired and got a golden parachute. Respect. Now, if we go ahead and look at NVIDIA, one of the things that I want to point out is that we have seen this price either above two standard deviations or three standard deviations for the entire month of October. Well, minus the first 2 days, but regardless, when you see with red lettering and with a white background, that means it's three standard deviations above the 23-day moving average. When you see black lettering with a red background, that means it's two standard deviations or above its 23-day moving average. The price is very easily right now, actually, now it's below its 5-day moving average. The 5-day moving average is 141 as of tomorrow. We were at 140.41. That's not great. Now, the 23-day moving average is moving up. It's 131.47. That's fantastic to see. We are seeing a little bit of movement today. And what I like about what I saw on NVIDIA's move up today, not humongous volume. Now, the reason why that matters is because when you are seeing bull markets, it will become very low volatility. It will become very low volume. There will be price moves of 1%, 0.5%, 1.5%, where it just takes the escalator up, actually takes the stairs. Now, the most important part of this is that when we look, we see the 1 day, the 5 day, the 15 day, the 1 month, 3 month, and 6 month are all positive on a rolling look back. Now, we did have two ridiculous days of down movement, nearly 3% over 2 days, but that's because if you look at the day on the 21st, we were already three standard deviations above the mean. We had to get a little bit of pullback. If there was any day to buy in NVIDIA, it was 139. It was yesterday. I definitely did that. You can see even here in the future price path, we are still on the price to rise. Now, if we're going to go ahead and look at the signals, this thing has been go long since your mama. You know what I mean? Like this thing's been about that business. So this thing has been telling you from the very beginning, essentially of October, when we want to look here at 156, because this is when I have a short term, intermediate term, and longer term, all saying go long. That was at the very last day of September on the 30th. You could have bought it for 121. Even the next couple of days could have bought it for 117 or 118 if you had the gumption. Now, if we look at what we've got here in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term, we are still very bullish. Now, if we're going to look at the overall sentiment, the thing I like about this is we got a rising bull, but we do not see massive red letters just yet. Now, right now, we're going to see this, but if you look at what has happened in NVIDIA before, actually, we don't, this is not a good indication. You can normally see it sometimes redline like that for days, weeks, or even months, especially if you're looking at the weekly. So NVIDIA only being right now at what it looks like it's 55%. We got room to go, baby. We got bullishness to pack in there. Now, if we're going to go ahead and look at the trading signals, what I do like is that you can see on the 30th, that day that we called out, which shall not be named, we are saying we did have a buy signal at 121. Was that a good one? I think it might have been. Even on the ninth here at 132, that was a good one. I think it might have been. Now, if we're looking, we've got big bulls, we've got small bulls, we've got swift bulls. The most recent signals that we've seen have been the small bulls. And to be honest, I love the 1 month bull trigger. That was on the very first day of October, the day after the buy signal. You could have bought NVIDIA on that day when it was at $117, but you didn't. So instead, you're watching my video trying to figure out how can I build a model like this? You might be able to, you might not. But the most important thing is to understand what's the most important thing in the model. And let's go ahead and look at those. Oop, different part. So the most important thing in the model is not necessarily the charts, it's the sentiment. It's when we look at the sentiment and we're paying attention to, ooh, what has NVIDIA been doing? We saw an inflection day. If we want to go back to the day that we say is the most important was the first or second, you can see here that we had bullishness that was only at 46%. We had just come off of bullishness at 47%. Now we've got bullishness at 57%. Now, what I like about this is a slight rise. That's the one of the best things about NVIDIA. It's a trending bullish ticker. When you have a trending bullish ticker, you just throw money in. Now, when you look at the volume, the thing that I don't like is that I've seen that there's been these massive spikes and now we've got a kind of a fall down. But what I said earlier is that the best bullish indicator when we're looking at volume is when you've got volume that is just ticking down, the price is just ticking up. No one has to think, no one has to worry. It's when you see a massive move in volume and a massive move in volatility that you got to be concerned. Now we're going to look at volatility here in NVIDIA. The thing I like is that this thing essentially, since the 1st of October, the volatility has just been steadily breaking out. And the correlation, as you see at the bottom, has gone incredibly positive. So this is the important part, is when you have correlation and you have volatility rising at the same time, you are going to get massive price movements. Now, when you end up getting what is the inevitable rollover here in volatility, which to be honest, I wouldn't say that I'd be surprised about because the average look back looks like it's probably maxing out around 15 at the most, probably around this 13 and a half. If we're really being serious, this looks like an outlier a little bit. But if we're going to say it ends at 15, maybe you got a little bit more to go. Maybe you got a little bit more confirmation, but it's already at 91% price to volatility correlation. So I would say what we're going to see is a rollover. We're going to see a rollover because the price is going to keep going up. But the volatility is going to start rolling over, and that means that this correlation is going to roll over. And when you see that, that's actually incredibly bullish. If you look here, you see June 20th as the volatility starts to roll over here into the middle of July. If this is also the middle of June, yeah, the middle of June, and it starts to roll over until the middle of or the very beginning of July, that was probably incredibly bullish. I'm going to go ahead and look at it real quick because, and actually, I don't even need to. I can look at it right here. It was just a little bit here because this is where it ended up ending. That wasn't incredibly bullish, but it was bullish enough for you to be able to get out before you got into a little bearishness. And when we look at the overall way that this stuff is moving, that's what you want to pay attention to, because that kind of move when you have it synced up, when you specifically have it synced. Actually, see the problem here was that this correlation was still positive. It's way too positive actually. So you have falling volatility and positive correlation. That's never good. What you want to see is like this. You want to see a breakout. While the volatility breaks out, you want to see the correlation rising. Also a good sign there. What you don't want to see is a bunch of breakouts and a bunch of negative correlation. Not going to be good for you. Now let's look at the trade range. What we can see here is what I love to see is we got higher highs in the range. And this is exactly what I'm noticing probably in this indicator. So this indicator I built, I mentioned it before because the Google finance data is absolutely trash. This indicator here before is one of the most important things because I want to see the close based on the price. I want to see the volume. I want to see the trade. I want to see the trade level. Then I want to see are there higher highs and higher lows, which it looks like you can see here in this actual range. That is the golden signal right there, boys and girls. If you get higher highs and higher lows instead of a bullish trend, you are fucking crushing. The reason why is because this is what your probable range is telling you. And what I love is that we're signaling all-time highs. We're signaling above 150. I have no problem buying into any weakness that I see inside of NVIDIA as long as I'm getting higher highs and higher lows. And when I look at the sell top, I'm looking at the buy bottom. This is a fantastic look. The trade level's moving up. The bullishness is continuing to be there. What we're seeing is a reduction in the volume while the price continues to rise. It's steadily going to continue to move forward. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, subscribe to the new High newsletter. Give you 25 stocks to your inbox every single Sunday. Stocks breaking out to all-time highs, stocks breaking out to one-year highs, stocks below $20, stocks breaking out to higher prices. You're gonna love this list to get your trading week started. I'll talk to you soon.